What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video, another episode of Everybody Hates Black Men. I'm your host, Edward Anderson. I'm listening to Corey Holcomb. I haven't listened to this show. Probably the most I've listened to this show in a couple of years between the last three shows. And I know it's funny because I'm listening to this shit and he calling, let y'all get it, he's calling O'Shea Okie Dokie Jackson. And then, he talked about the lead attorney. And one thing I will, like I said, I'm gonna say this: Corey did have mediocre on there. I think he did have lead attorney, which I fuck with lead attorney, but lead attorney is an attorney, and you always got to keep that in mind. And that's no slick diss, but you gotta understand the way you gotta think, think when you dealing with him. You gotta think like 3 dimensionally because he'll get you, and you don't even realize he's getting you. But I'm gonna say this again. But one thing I want to say, as far as Corey's issues with all these dudes, I mean, lead attorney for the most is well, I ain't gonna say for the most part, from what I observe, is a stand-up dude. Lead attorney is definitely giving a lot of value to this internet. I've heard pretty much nothing but good things about his course, and a lot of people. There's a lot of channels. I'm not gonna say, but there's a couple of channels out here that's kind of like living proof this course has a lot to it. There's a lot to it. So he's definitely giving value. I'm not gonna. He definitely does a good job, kind of occupying a space that he said himself. Like more women, I think, gravitate towards him, but he still, for the most, he still kept it, real when it comes to not like abandoning men in the channel and all of that. And I respect him for that. Obviously, I fuck with O'Shea. And Corey is basically mad at O'Shea because O'Shea's making a whole bunch of videos, and he may have caught one video. And but Corey don't got time to be watching all of O'Shea's video. Hell, I don't got time to watch it. O'Shea does a lot of volume. He does a lot of volume, and trust me, that is not easy to do, especially with those edits and all of that. It's not. But you remember when I used to joke around about? I said O'Shea did almost like I think 100 videos. I think with pro, it was a lot. I remember I counted them up between the two channels, and I was like, and honestly, that's actually a great strategy because you can't get every point in on a 10-minute video, and people don't want to see like 30, 40 minute. People will watch a 30-minute video if they really fuck with you, but like when you really, man, you want to keep it between 13, 14 minutes, and that's including if you put like 3 minutes of like commentary in there as far as like showing other stuff. And so, I joked about that. And Corey's mad because O'Shea is doing what people do. He's creating a whole bunch of 10, 13-minute segments, that's the YouTube game, my nigga. I know a lot of people don't deploy that strategy, but that's actually a smart strategy because what you're essentially doing is you're creating links to be found, and you're creating and you could create a playlist to go through that saga. That's actually a really smart strategy. I'm surprised I don't see more people do it. Because when you create digital, now O'Shea's videos are different, but when you have digital assets like Corey's face and all that stuff, man, when you use, that's actually something I looked at deploying. I don't know if I kind of got the idea from O'Shea. I'm not gonna lie, it probably is in the background, but like that's something I looked at deploying because, dude, real talk, it takes a lot creating a lot of these assets, and even though you move them around, you want to be able to use them over and over and just shake and bake that shit in a way that it's different because it's a different concept. You don't want to take the same thing, but you can color it differently. That stuff is a lot quicker to do than to completely find new assets. That's why a lot of people keep a lot of the assets or video assets that they procure of certain people, especially with AI and stuff. So if every video is different, and this time there's ways to condense it, but still, that's not why. That's one reason why. That's probably one reason. That's not the main reason. But like I said, when it comes to viewership, If a topic is hot, you want to jump on that topic because it's hot until it's not. And this is like a situation, given how close, how O'Shea's proximity to Anton, as far as in the YouTube space, and all of that. But let's keep it all the way real. But Corey's mad talking about O'Shea's doing a whole bunch of videos, and I guess he picked one that O'Shea he didn't like. But straight up, for the most part, O'Shea has been in Corey's corner. Honestly, Corey is the type of person O'Shea would probably kind of gravitate towards. Even from a real nigga standpoint. So it's kind of funny. It's like, you got, honestly, Corey you would think Corey would have somebody, I ain't even say he pays, but somebody would say, look at what this nigga's saying. Go through all these videos and give me the Cliff Notes version and like be real. Like, is he on the team, not on the team, playing a neutral game, how much? That would go, especially somebody is his size. I can't really speak for lead attorney as far as those Corey, because I haven't listened. And I'm gonna keep it real. Corey and Glendon, even though it's funny because if Glendon was a street dude, it would probably be Corey. They have the same extra tendencies. They really do. So I definitely could see why Corey don't like lead, because I told y'all about that street. Like, it's not just a binary street nigga over, corporate dude. It's not, because Glendon doesn't fit into that. But I see a lot of similarity. And Glendon is not a street dude. He has never claimed that. He don't even like to say nigga like that. But you can tell he's whatever. But they have the same sensibilities about the issues that they have with certain people, and it tends to be, it lines up, like, as far as like Gen X kind of tendencies. Shout out to Xander Tochi, said, I bet O'Shea did the crit walk and joy with Corey reacted to him. I don't think Corey. I paused the video. I don't know if Corey reacted. Did he actually pull the video up? No, I think he just addressed it. He didn't call him his name. He just called him Okie Dokie Jackson. So if you don't know, like, O'Shea's channel, you wouldn't know, which I get that. And I did the video because Corey talked about, I've never researched how to get stuff taken off with. I don't know if he's never researched, but I do know there's a time when stuff was getting messed with. They used to do Corey Holcomb videos. But, Corey, but you can't get somebody's stuff. It doesn't work. That's fair use. You can't get somebody, if somebody's doing a thumbnail, if you have a situation like this and they're doing videos on it, they're not doing it. That's like the classical sense of fair use. Fair use is really designed to deal with like if Corey have a case if people were covering his show, maybe like his actual work with a corporation. But anything you do on YouTube is absolutely fair game. You can't tell YouTube that they can't, especially when people are doing views, you can't tell YouTube that they can't show, that people can't show an event or a conversation that's essentially happening on their platform. If the original source or seed footage was on YouTube, I mean, Corey said it himself in another last week. He said that belongs to the game. When you upload anything, it's public. That belongs to everybody. That's the same. Just like how Anton can't go and be like people pulling up his older videos that he did on YouTube. They were originated from YouTube, and he can't get rid of. All he can do is delete them. But once they're on YouTube, they're on YouTube forever. Because it wasn't original. It's not like, okay, originally this is a production on CBS or on UPS or on whatever, or this is an original movie production. That's what fair use is designed to low-key deal with. You don't even need fair use for stuff that happened on platform. If it happened on platform, it don't matter unless YouTube decides it's terms of service, which people squadding up against each other doesn't breach term of service. So you're not gonna be able to take that down. A thumbnail with you in it, especially if it's not making you look crazy or terms of service, again, truth be told, and this is one thing, truth be told, I gotta say about Anton's never been an asshole when it comes to stuff like that. I will give him that credit. Now, obviously, he understood the value of people having his name in their mouth, and Corey's already famous. The other thing too is O'Shea has definitely been a lot more better, more on Corey's side than not on Corey's side. Really, O'Shea is taking the posture of like really, Anton needs some accountability, and Anton needs a reality check. He don't say it like that bluntly because when you do videos like this, you can't be absolutely biased. You have to look at it on both sides. This is one of the reasons why I like, the Dumper channel. Because Dumper has been more, I mean, he's been harsh on Anton, absolutely. But he hasn't let Corey go. So what it is, niggas think people going to gangbang for people and not look at both sides. Now that some of y'all are in here, a couple of y'all in here, here's the other thing, too. Considering that Corey basically called Kevin Samuels a faggot, and I'm going to say it just like that, because that's how I took it, and I know how old he is, and being an exer, I know what it means. That's why a lot of dudes that want to, that's why I think Glendon, it's always start David Carroll too, all them niggas are in the same age bracket. Understand the F-bomb got called all the way up, was being thrown out all the way up till basically 2015. That shit was retired 10 years ago. That's crazy. I remember, and people like, how do you know that? Because on the Boondocks they said it. So it was definitely like, you could say it, right? And so I knew what Corey meant when he said that. And I've watched this show long enough, even back in the Ustream days. And so, truth be told, a lot of these dudes was cool with Kevin. O'Shea, really, BGS is probably the only person that had much more close ties with Kevin other than O'Shea, but they right up there. I'd say from an operational YouTube standpoint, I would say O'Shea, and I'd say BGS from a more originator standpoint. Right. And so, and leading them came after, because leading them came after. I can tell you, man, I've talked to people behind the scenes that's got crazy bread. I'm talking about M's. A couple of people. I know y'all be thinking I'd be lying about that. I'm not lying. A couple of people, actually. And I can tell you right now, a lot of people like the direction Kevin was going. And a lot of people, and it's not even outside of Kevin, a lot of people, when it comes to that corporate guy, street guy shit, I'm telling you, a lot of niggas are tired. A lot of niggas are tired. And when I say niggas are tired, I mean they're tired of being passive. Not tired of putting in work. They're tired of being passive. And that shit needs to be sunsetted. They don't want their kids, Gen Alpha, growing up in this kind of post-crack era bullshit that millennials grew up in. We were literally the post-crack era generation. And they're getting aggressive. Clutch would definitely like what he's hearing. If Clutch could be in on some of these conversations, and they're really starting to not give a fuck about like any of the shit. And that's not speaking for lead attorney or any of them, but I'm just saying, I don't think people really understand in the background. I've been surprised at some of the people's kind of positions when it comes to Anton. Anton. Because I'm like, I get what you're saying, but he ain't going to be that nigga. Like, if you going to have one, Jeff James. But I'm not jumping out the window for him because I don't, but I've had mine. But real talk, he not playing no more. And Corey really don't understand, like, just like how it took everything he had to not punch Anton in the face. The reality is, you need. I mean, I would say you need more than an apology. But truth be told, him having a lot of the people that came after Kevin, not even though mediocre already been around, so he ain't come after Kevin. You know what I'm saying? People that like he had a lot of people on that did like really push counter Kevin's message. I think is the more than enough thing. The reality of the situation is, man, like this is what happens when you speak before you actually know what you're talking about. Because I could tell that he didn't really know what Kevin was doing or was trying to do. And Kevin I think was a fan of Corey. And I'm sorry, I gotta say this, man. Just because dudes are not street niggas or grimy ass niggas does not mean they gay. There is such a thing as metrosexual. There's such a thing There is such a thing with that and not being gay. Prince wasn't gay. And I'm not saying that Prince, I'm not gonna lie, if you was on what Prince is on, then yes, I would probably say you're gay too. I'm not saying, but Kevin was nowhere near that. And so it's kind of like, if you're not a street nigga, if you're not in the mud with the grimy version of Matt, like this is what a lot of niggas didn't like about Kevin. And what they really did not like is there was a lot of women that actually liked Kevin for real. You can see how some of them were, even Brittany Renner. Brittany Renner was the most calm that you've ever seen her. Brittany Renner was more calm with Kevin than she was with her, the nigga she would try to get a bag off of. Like, and that's saying a lot. And so it becomes this kind of cultural tug of war kind of thing, even if it's in the background. And even in the background. And yeah, man, I'm just going to say it straight up. Corey called Kevin a faggot. And I wish somebody would say that to his face. I didn't say the word. You didn't say the word, but you didn't say the word because you know you can't say the word publicly. But like, if we was in the barbershop, that's exactly what you would have said. Because that was your initial reaction. And niggas got a problem. And yeah, I get why certain niggas would be like, fuck you with that shit. Now, I'm not going to be sneaky about it. I'm going to say, I stopped watching Corey. I didn't like, okay, I don't fuck with Corey no more. But Corey got put into those people that's like, yeah, I'm not watching this stuff no more. Not because I was mad, but because, you know, any stuff that's important that happens on that show, other people would cover the important pieces anyway. Shout out to Fawcett Media. And for the most part, a lot of the internet has been very pro Corey. Like, especially on the manosphere side of it. But dudes ain't about to be like, you right, and like, your shit don't stink. Because all of our shit stinks. To a certain extent. Ain't nobody going to act like, you know, oh, I get it. You the underdog. Because Corey sees himself as an underdog. And I get why. We acknowledge all that. But people not about to be on some, you always right. Look, I fuck with Tariq. But Tariq ain't always right. I know what it is. You know, I'm not saying FBA ain't a real, it is a real thing. It is a lineage. I get all that. But we're not going to act like Tariq doesn't, he's not smart enough to understand that he cannot split his audience anymore. The women don't like the game shit. The women don't like, and obviously Tariq has evolved as he's gotten older. And you're going to talk about different stuff as you get older. But let's not act like it doesn't cost him money to be associated with the manosphere. So, like, even not this space, but like even the content. So he's created a situation that could kind of lump everybody that rocks with him without any obvious, like, resistance or restrictions. Let's not act like that. That's why he always says anybody that does anything goofy is always not an African American woman or FBA. Even though he for the most part, he don't talk about anything black women do. And look, it is what it is. He don't need to. He put in his work from the past, and it is what it is. But let's, like, and I don't constantly call it out, but let's not act like that's not what that is. And it's the same thing with Corey. You know, for the most part, you know, I think Dumper has been on, as far as the people I listen to, has really held him accountable more than anybody, to be honest. And I appreciate that. But real talk, we're not about to get up here and then just be on some, we're not stands of nobody. We weren't stands of Kevin. Let's be very clear. And I'm not Corey. I don't know what Corey's dealt with outside the internet, and I'm sure he's dealt with a lot. And so I'm not trying to minimize this, but even Corey said that he didn't get this much attention on the internet. Like, as far as, like, this is like the most as far as internet bullshit he's gotten into. Most of his bullshit is in real life. IRL, you know, as the disease call it. Kevin, literally the type of smoke Kevin got put him in an early fucking grave. That wasn't the main contributor, but that was a factor. Other than him not taking a break. Kevin honestly needed to take a break off the internet. But he thought this was his moment. He wanted to tap on that momentum. I can understand why somebody like him would think that. He's 55. So he looked relatively healthy. I didn't know he had those kind of health problems. And I get it. Strike while the oil's hot. But the reality is, the heat that they put on this fool, they killed him. I do not believe people will celebrate Corey Holcomb's death like Charlie Kirk and like Kevin. But people celebrated Kevin. That's the impact Kevin had. It's not to say Corey doesn't have impact. My point is the heat that Kevin had to deal with. And Corey wasn't the only one. Royce the 5'9" had the apology. He didn't have to. No, let me be very clear. He did not have to. Corey didn't have to. They could have just did what most niggas do and pretend shit didn't happen. And they never said it. And he just recently said it again. He said he's moist. And he finally told the truth that he thinks Kevin was moist. So he took it back. He didn't take it back, but he basically acted like, blah, blah, blah. But he still thinks that. And so, yeah, people are not going to like you for that reason alone. Yeah. And so, you get mad at Corey because Corey making a whole bunch of videos. Truth be told, Corey is actually, most of the videos are pro-Corey Holcomb, anti. More, if you're going to really categorize it, these are videos that people that are anti-fans aren't going to like. I just saw one he did 2 hours ago, and you mad because, I get he ain't going to say his name, but you mad because of what? And by the way, a lot of these dudes that you saw, that you even had on your show, Oshay had a hand in helping. Some of them. Not all of them, not most of them, but a couple of them. So it's kind of like, I get it, but it's like, Corey probably would have been, Corey's gotten a long way on the internet, but a lot of these people, they think the shit ain't real, it don't matter, but a lot of these people, they help create the framework behind the scenes that you don't see, and I can't tell you, and I know Corey knows this stuff, I can't say how, but if I could show you a screenshot and know Corey know a lot more of what's going on over here than he would ever give out. I can show you one screenshot, and that's all I'm going to say. But if I say any more, then that'll mess some shit up for somebody. I don't want to do that. Let me see something. Let's see what's going on.
Fruit Booty Buttons is a serial woman beater when he ain't drunk. But here's the problem.
Yeah, Oshay in the chat right now. Yeah, because the thing is, Oshay, and I get it, Corey can't go through every video, and if you pick a random video in the hat, one may lean more pro-Corey than another, but with the same, because Oshay went through the same thing with Tariq. With Tariq got mad, but for the most part, some of this stuff, you gotta remember, some of that stuff is gossip stuff to be fluffing it up, but for the most part, you can tell who Oshay rock with it now. I'm not speaking a lot on Lee because I don't know what Lee said, so I can't really speak on that. But what I do know is Lee was close enough to Kevin to where I know Lee wouldn't have liked that shit either. We're all grown men, but I'm going to say it again. Corey, you basically called Kevin a faggot on live TV, on basically YouTube. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat that because I'm old enough to know what the fuck that was. And I know Kevin was a fan. Kevin watched some of these people just like we did because he was on panels just like I was back in the day. So a lot of these people, to not even look at the content and just look at who showed you this or look at whatever. A lot of that shit killed him. So this shit where it's like, I'm glad he acknowledged it, but you get mad. People ain't really, honestly, people just telling the truth. And as far as Lee, I do know because somebody told me, and I kind of saw it, the lead said the Anton could sue. Anton could sue. Okay, that's the lead attorney's opinion. That is his 20-year law background, divorce attorney, passed the bar, made a lot of money doing it background. And I say all that to say that, obviously he knows more about the law than I do. But lawyers can have different opinions. And so, they can. So your lawyer can be right and Lee can be right. Lee is telling you what's possible. You can sue people for anything. Now, the question now whether somebody can win or not, well, that leads up to the argument of who's the better lawyer. But what Lee is saying is not wrong. It is possible Anton could have something there. That doesn't mean it's a dead to rights, but it's a decent case from what I would assume. He's got an arguable case. And but the thing is, somebody like Corey is can pay the money for an leader. I mean, Glendon talked about some of the stuff with that video of what he talked about. We know what it was. And when he came back, he talked earlier about him getting people to take it down. And Lee was one of the ones involved. I'm going to leave it there because I ain't trying to, like, start up nothing. But, I mean, truth be told, whatever was done was already done. So it didn't matter taking it down. Taking it down now doesn't matter. The views that you're going to get from it was already gotten. So it wasn't harmful to take it down. But the point was, you know, people would say Glendon didn't have a suable case either. But Glendon said he would be willing to spend the money just because he got it like that, just out of some petty shit. And if you believe somebody can do that, and Glendon old enough to where he got the money where he's like, F it. Especially as bad as he was about that, which, you know, we've already litigated that. It's not always just because you got a case. And I don't know if that's a dead to rights case. And so that's like Corey's issue with Lee. And he had Lee on here, and I get it. You had these people on here, you think they're going to be 100% on your side. It's not, I don't know about Lee, but O'Shea's on your side a lot more than he's not. He wasn't. But O'Shea's not about to sit here and act like this is the Corey Holcomb booty ass kissing show. The reality is, you know, there's a lot to critique to Anton. Corey is not without critique. Corey has burnt a lot of bridges. People understand that he had to come off that money for what Zoe did. But people like the fact Zoe was on that show. People think the fact that Zoe not being on that show kind of hurt. Well, obviously Corey don't care because Corey does shows. But as far as the integrity of what this show is, people like Zoe on there. Some people didn't. But more people liked him because they thought Zoe brought the intellectual part to the show. And that's never came back. It really hasn't. I think Zoe would have been, Anton would have had a much harder time pulling that shit with Zoe because of just how Zoe is oriented in like how he views things and how he goes about stuff. It would have been harder to pull that shit on Zoe. But you know, Corey's burnt bridges. Corey's lived life. It's out there. You know, there's way worse people that you know. Corey's had fuck his daughter, you know, his own daughter because of the situation in that. He's been very transparent, and I can actually respect that because you know for the most part what you're getting. But it's kind of like, dude, man. And O'Shea in here, it's like, yo, it ain't, yeah, man, niggas, and see, yeah, dudes in his, and anybody know Corey Holcomb's chat is ruthless. Dudes in the chat, they rock with O'Shea because O'Shea has been, in fact, I think Corey should have did a poll with his subscribers. You know, change the thing to be like, you had to be a subscriber for like 24 hours and be like, do you think O'Shea is talking shit? Yes or no? Just to see, because they're watching more of the videos than you would. That's a cheap, quick, and dirty way of doing that. But this thing where, you know, people just gonna basically say nobody's wrong ever, nah, that's not how people rock. That's not how people rock. Nah, he ain't had no homo experience. I'm not even gonna. No, that's not what that is. See, you looking at that. I don't know how old you are, Gap. I'm gonna let that go, and I'm not mad at you. But I don't know how old you are. But like, dude, I'm being from Chicago, dude. Like, they don't play that shit at all. And you gotta understand, Chicago Gen X. You gotta remember what stuff was back then, and even back in the 2000s, like pre-2010. So, no, you didn't, like, that, come on, man. That's why I kept saying, like, I was proud of Corey. That's a killer. What Anton did is, like, that's an offense that some people, even if they don't get you then, they gonna get you. And so at the end of the day, man, like it is what it is. But O'Shea been probably like, I'd probably say like 25% on Corey and like 75% on Anton. I personally think, based on what O'Shea said, it's a lot of stuff that O'Shea probably told Anton behind the scenes. That Anton was like, and I get it. You know, when you trying to go for it, you trying to go for it. But it is what it is. You can't really take 100% seriously. And so it is what it is. But no, as far as Corey, no, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. I don't know why y'all acting like that's like, exes are like that. I don't know why y'all acting like exes aren't like that. And he's judging. Corey was judging Kevin from one exer to another. And that's that part that, sometimes people forget. But I'm old enough to remember that. But still, that's how I know that's what he was really saying. You can call it moist all you want to. That's what he really meant. And that's why people had a problem with it. And people, for the most part, kind of let that go with Corey when they really didn't have to. Especially when the dude died. Let me see what y'all talking about. Yeah, I bet O'Shea, yeah, crit walk. What's up? Why is he going at them? I mean, because in his mind, if you say one thing negative, you on that side. Make people. He said too, to be fair to Corey, that people are making money off his name and likeness. But like when you put an internet show on YouTube, you kind of open it up for that. This is the same thing with Fresh and Fit. That's part of being on the platform. Because in YouTube's mind, your show is spurring, like, you're making YouTube money, and they're not gonna get fucked. They don't give a fuck about black people, but they're not gonna get in the way of their own money and their ability to put ads in front of stuff. That's what. So YouTube, if people watching it, especially when it originates on their platform, unless it breaches term of service on some, like, like they don't want to show it. They not gonna get you because it's your likeness. It doesn't work that way. Now you can't just take somebody's whole channel and reload it. And sometimes people will let you do that. I know that, but you can't. But if you doing like clips here or there, and for the most part, O'Shea don't even play a whole bunch of Corey's direct content. He's just speaking on it. That's a part of the game. You saying he got embarrassed? He damn near serious. He should have left that tough guy alone. Nah, Anton was talking shit though. When you really look at the video from the beginning and the end, Anton clearly came up there to antagonize. So it wasn't so much tough guy. It was really more, yeah. I mean, I get why you're saying that, but that's that kind of, well, you should have, because then if he would have stood down the whole time and let Anton talk shit, people would be saying, now you letting people talk shit. So it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't thing. And Anton, apparently from what I heard, Corey didn't want to really have Anton on. Corey wanted to have him on the damn Zoom. And he wanted to come in there. And now we know why. Mr. Diplomat Swag says, we let this street culture destroy the look of the average black male. Kevin represents corporate. The reality is that's an accountability. Like, that's an accountability, though, to regular black men. See, the problem is, when you understand the black community is a matriarchy, you understand that the women are able to pick and choose who represents us as men, and men should have operated outside of that, where the women that want to be on the team are on the team, the women that don't want to be on the team, there's going to be a clear separation. Meaning, I'm not meaning that's enough to where it should have been established, and unfortunately a lot of dudes were passive, and that just has to be what that has to be acknowledged. Not to mention that corporate America pushed the street stuff to profit off of it, undermine the black community. So that's something that's got to be put out there. We got to tell the truth about what happened. A lot of dudes were passive. He said, "Assets of God is how Kevin got down. People don't know Kevin was really a city." Yeah, I mean, and again, I really didn't like that, like with Corey, because I think that was like an emotional reaction based on whatever. And what makes it so funny is, I mean, you know, you got what 100 and you got 14,000 people in here. You know, like literally the thing Corey complained about, like O'Shea, like in here, basically, you know, doing what he do. You know, I mean, it's a whole bunch of people in here, especially people looking at the chat. Yeah, Corey don't really get a not lot of negative press from us over here. He really don't. To be honest, Corey gets a lot of latitude on a lot of shit. I mean, I wouldn't say that because Tariq wasn't as a shock jock like Sotomayor is. He didn't have to be because he had enough wordplay and stuff to not be like that. Yeah, I got Corey crying in my comment section about videos I've done about him. Everybody can go be Team Corey. My thing, Corey can do all the messaging through comedy. He needs to stick to that, not this internet gossip. Well, is the internet got the show is really designed to be kind of like a way for him to interact with his fans. That's what the show is designed to do, and it kind of feeds back into his other stuff. So it's a smart play. And that's why he only does it once a week. Lee was talking about possible lawsuit Anthony could have, but he also spoke on lawsuit that Corey could have had with. Okay, yeah. So if he's speaking both sides, I mean, lead attorney is then doing what lawyers do, which is talk about the legal argument of it based on the evidence y'all put out there. It ain't like he did what Tasha K did, which is it's like pulling up stuff. Like that's why I'm like, why you mad? Like he ain't saying what you should, and that's how I know he be looking at pieces of shit and then be getting mad. And you gotta watch who be feeding you information because they be feeding you narratives and not give you the whole thing. That's what happened with Kevin, with him and Kevin. I think, yeah, he ain't winning whatever he sued for. It don't seem. Well, the thing is, putting somebody's picture up that's arguable. I mean, you can argue it. I'm not saying like, and Lead is right about that. You definitely can, but you got to establish harm. That's why, and it's like, how much harm do you really want to establish, and how much harm do you want to exacerbate or make it seem like it's harm when it's not really harm? And I don't think she really got bullied. I don't think his daughter got bullied like Anton say, not like that. And here's the funny part about it. O'Shea, because I've been watching a couple of his videos, so I can speak on O'Shea's videos with this situation. Like I've watched like 5-6 of them so far. O'Shea literally poked holes in that argument. O'Shea literally did Corey's work for him. O'Shea literally poked holes in that argument as far as his daughter, and he went to the literally, and he showed receipts on that. He showed receipts on that as far as certain stuff Anton said. So he poked holes in that argument, like on some real shit. So it's kind of like, yeah, certainly, like that's the internet. That's what people do, and I don't think Corey has seen that strategy. But Fawcett has done a couple of videos too, but Fawcett don't do the volume that O'Shea does. O'Shea's scared of being demonetized. That's why his content changed. Honestly, we can kind of say that about Tariq. No, it ain't that he. No, that's not the main. That's not the main reason at all. That is a reason. I'm not gonna say it's not a reason, but like out of the top 5, that's not even in the top 5. O'Shea was. This is out of O'Shea's mouth. Because O'Shea's done a lot of live streams he deleted. Because he'll do live streams he deletes them. Number one was because he wasn't making the money he thought he knew he could make. Number 2, he wasn't appreciating the manosphere. Number 3, the live streams were bringing him, the donations were bringing him. He makes more money. He makes way more money in the ad side. The ad side is way more profitable than the donation side. But you can't get the ad side running. Like the ad side is much harder to get running. Also, he talked about how he had a conversation like with Tasha K about this game, and there's not really a lot of men on that side, which it does need to be more men on that side if they're willing to do it. The scared of being demonic because he had multiple channels, but that's a part of it. But that's not like in the top 5 of like the main reasons. because he wasn't making enough money. And honestly, yeah. So, but yeah, he called everyone backdoor. It wasn't the anti that made me say that. I'm not saying it was. I know, yeah, and I stopped listening to Jason Black too. I didn't stop listening to Jason Black necessarily because he called Kevin Moist. I stopped listening to Jason Black because he like when stuff really goes down to it, he's not in a lot of his stuff is not a lot of stuff he talks about is aspirationally, but he's way too old to be as jealous as he was. And again, that's some extra shit. That's what they always go to. A nigga moist. And I know it drew these niggas crazy when the women were dealing with were flocking to him on the internet to the extent that they was because in their mind he's moist. Yeah, you're right. Like they all like I'm telling you, that's how Gen X is. They are very hyper, and they are very hyper masculine. And I'm not saying that like they are over the top with it. And it's part of it is because of that independent, you know, it's crazy.
Free to must do and what you're stronger. Um,
Old girl Anton was with at on the 51. She may have put a battery in his bag. Nah, I don't know, cause she did say she was a fan of Corey Holcomb's show. Oh yeah, I believe she come back. I mean, she's an attractive female. I'm not gonna lie. I could definitely but her thing is, and O'Shea talked about it. He's absolutely right. She's very attractive, but the thing about it is she doesn't have a lot of charisma, and you know women typically don't need that anyway. But like I look at because Melanie King is not somebody that I strike. I'll say this. I'll say this. Here's the difference. The difference is her look is how it should be. It's a conservative look, like a shirt and all of that. It's absolutely like I'm not taking away. But on the internet, when you need something that pops. Now, if you're not, you need to have a personality that kind of stands out. Like I'll give you a perfect example. Take Crimson Cure for example. Crimson Cure that dresses very conservatively. But one thing that stands out with Crimson Cure is how she sounds. She sounds like she's always on the cusp cussing you out. And she has and people obviously agree with what she's saying as far as her audience, but she has a certain sound that like sticks with you. People say my voice like echoes or something. I don't know, but like she has a certain, like she had that, and then she has kind of, and so it works for like the black community stuff that she's speaking on. On top of the stuff that she speaks on, when you look at Danica Marie, Danica Marie, it was a lot of certain people that they looking for a black woman that agrees with them, and then her looks helps too. Um, so it depends, but you got something to pop with her. Like at least with Danica Marie has very colorful as far as like the bright colors as far as like what she uses. When I look at if you look at put all three of them together, honestly, I get a lot of Six the Goddess issues. I don't know that Six the Goddess has different issues, but it's the same thing. It's like you're just there and it's real. It's not a lot going on, and so people like that tend to do better when you have a dude that you can piggyback off of. I get it, and I'm not even talking about the negative part of Six, where it's like she's nasty and people pick up on that. I'm just talking about it's kind of I don't know what it is, but it's something about them where it's like boring. Even if they're attractive, it's like boring, and that's her problem. Her personality is very is not, and even for what I think Island Girl would do a better job. By the way, whatever happened to Island Girl? I guess Island Girl wasn't with it. Part of it is what made people flock to Kevin was right time, right place. But that's That's a lot. That's a lot to think about. Yeah, that's a lot to ponder. And when you look at his thumbnails, O'Shea's thumbnails can be kind of triggering if you don't know like how he makes content. Part of it was COVID. Part of it was his presentation. So he said his history of cheating on his wife. Like yo, like I said, I don't even dig into all this shit. I could do, boy. I just don't be feeling like doing that stupid shit, man. But anyway, I just wanted to comment on this. So I'm about to hop off, but how you get mad at Lee for Lee talking about possible? I mean, what like we can't be just biased. We gotta tell it how we see it, man. But anyway, y'all, I'm out. This is Ever signing off. Peace.